Hola!
Hola! Hola! Welcome to another episode of our quarterly show, The Android Show, bringing you the latest in the world of Android developer news and fun.
Yes, and this time we're back in Barcelona at the Mobile World Congress, showing you the newest Android devices from our partners. I'm Rebecca Gutteridge, and I'm a developer relations engineer on the Android platform at Google.
And I'm Christina Lee. I'm an Android software engineer at Pinterest and a Google developer expert. And today, I'm also such a tourist. It's my first time at Mobile World Congress, and it's incredible. There's fantastic new tech literally everywhere.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because in honor of our being here at the Android Avenue, I've made us some Android passports so that we can stamp off all the things we're going to see in today's episode.
Oh, cool. It looks like we're going everywhere today. We're going to see foldables, wearables, Android 15, Gemini Nano, and Jetpack Compose.
Yeah, buckle up. Later on in the show, we'll be taking your questions across the world of Android development, live with the team who builds it. You can ask us anything about building excellent apps across devices like wearables and large screens, Android 15, Jetpack Compose, and much more. Just add hashtag AskAndroid to your question on X or in the comments on YouTube.
But coming up first, I got to go behind the scenes on one of the most exciting recent launches, Gemini. I spoke with the team behind Gemini Nano and AI Core about what developers can do to take advantage of the latest in generative AI from Google.
After Christina's chat on Gemini Nano, you'll hear from our friends at Adidas on how Jetpack Compose helped them be more productive when building a new feature, and how TikTok used passkeys to make their login so much quicker.
So it looks like if I go to Foldables Quadrant on my way to AI Universe, I'm gonna be able to get half my passport stamps before lunch. But I'm already late.
Take a look.
As you may have heard, AI is having a very busy year. With generative AI, we are taking the next step.
Gemini can understand the world around us in the way that we do.
Gemini on its own has the ability to transform software development as we understand it.
It's to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful.
Really, I believe in the company's mission, and I think Gemini is a great step in that overall mission.
I'm super proud and excited to announce the launch of the Gemini era, a first step towards a truly universal AI model.
Wow, there has been so much hype and exciting news about generative AI recently. It really has so much potential to shape how we interact with the apps and services we use every day. It's almost overwhelming. One of the latest developments is on-device AI. While it's still early, there's already incredible scope to what it could do for me as a developer and as an Android user. I had an opportunity to speak with Adrian from the Android machine learning team to learn about how a large language model was put on devices. I know this isn't an easy thing to do, so I couldn't wait to hear more.
With generative AI trending in the industry, we knew developers would want to build experiences that needed to leverage LLMs. However, we were worried about multiple apps needing to call server APIs or download multiple LLMs onto phones, which isn't scalable and would cause latency, storage, or system health problems. We realized Google and Android were in the perfect position to come up with a solution before this became a problem.
So how did you approach it?
Well, the DeepMind team was already developing Gemini Nano, which is Google's smallest LLM. The idea came from a hackathon where we were able to put an early version of Gemini Nano on the device. We realized we needed to create the infrastructure to help get the LLM on devices safely and then manage and maintain it. That's how Android's AI Core was born.
At this year's Mobile World Congress, I got to see that AI Core and Gemini Nano are available on the Pixel 8 Pro and Samsung S24 devices, and I heard there will be more coming later this year. I wanted to learn about how an actual app was able to leverage this technology, so Adrian introduced me to Christy Bradford, a product manager from the Pixel team.
So Recorder helps people capture, rediscover, and then share important conversations and audio moments. But when someone has several recordings saved on their phone, it can be very challenging to remember what those conversations were about, and even more challenging to try and quickly scan through all of those files. We decided to build an AI-powered feature to help people summarize the conversations they had. It was our top user feature request since 2022. When we first started experimenting with this idea, we built the feature using clouds, since those were the only solutions available at the time.
So what inspired the switch from cloud to Gemini Nano?
So user privacy is a top priority. And we really wanted our most privacy-centric users, which for Recorder is roughly half of our users, to be able to use such a highly requested feature. This caused us to pause the project at the time. We kept our ears open though, because LLM work within Google was moving very fast. And when we heard Adrian's team was working on developing an on-device solution to utilize these powerful models, we reached out to learn more. We were pleasantly surprised with Gemini Nano's reduced latency and with how capable the model was, despite it being much smaller than what we used during prototyping. And honestly, if I can brag a little, we built and deployed this feature in only 4 months with just a few engineers, which is really impressive and a lot faster than we originally anticipated. We were surprised how much of a time, resource, and cost savings we were able to have with AI Core.
There are some really cool things already being built with this technology, like Circle to Search. It's so exciting to think about what's possible. Christy, Adrian, and I soon began talking about what other innovations we'd love to see in the future for on-device AI.
So I'd love to see more personalization down to the individual level. I think we're nearly to the point where even everyday things like your morning alarm or commute route to work are not one size fits most, but one size fits you. For example, if the traffic is looking late and my first work meeting was canceled while I was sleeping, can my phone's clock app adapt and let me sleep an extra 15 minutes?
Personally, I'd like to see something that will help me summarize and search for videos of my dog. I have so many great ones, but I don't want to have to watch them all to find the one I'm looking for.
Those are fun. I'd really like to see an improvement in how expressions are translated. For example, I tend to translate expressions directly from French, but what if AI could do this for me with the correct idioms? Looking forward, there will be more everything. More devices, more features, more models, as well as going beyond text. What people are seeing now is just the very first iteration, and where we were a few months ago. But we already have a lot more coming down the pipeline.
Now the wheels are turning in my brain about all the ways I could leverage Gen AI in my projects. Click here to learn more about how you can get started with Gen AI on device.
All right, guys, we're gonna start rolling.
On Amo.
Adidas Confirm is the brand on digital boutique. We mix sport and fashion in one app, and we are able to deliver a premium high-quality experience to the user. We realized we had a lot of things to improve the user experience. We wanted to introduce more animation and transition, and we wanted to elevate our app even more. We started to look into new solutions. We started to adopt Compose, and we realized that we can build features about 30% faster than with XML. The animation we added were game changer. All of our user experience research, they indicate that the animation helped the user to understand better the UI. We know that users, they really like animation, so it's very important to create cool animation that we can make the user spend more time in the app. My favorite animation in the Confirm app is the one we have that uses the sensor data of the device. So depends on the user interact with the device, you will see a light on the product or you won't see it. It was super cool to build it, and it was very amazing to see how the people that use the app get crazy with it. Thanks to Compose, we can have, for example, checkout form that we use in the Adidas flagship app and use exactly the same component, but in both apps. We are really proud to provide an app with virtually no UI crashes. One of the last features we created with Compose was a shoes tournament where we have shoes created by different brands and collaboration with Adidas, and it's the user the one that has to vote to decide the winner. Thanks to Compose, we were able to build this feature in only 3 months with 2 developers, and we were able to increase our weekly active user by 8%.
Is that a good thing for you?
Yeah, that's awesome, of course. This not only helped us to meet the business goal, we also have extra time to add cool animation to this feature and improve the user experience. So far, we have migrated 80% of the app, and we are looking forward to write the whole app in Compose. If someone is gonna start now learning Android development, I would say go straight with Compose. We can create better UIs in less time, and one of the reasons of that is that we are using Compose.
Muy bien, well done.
Nice.
focus on both cameras. This is TikTok. Take one, Mark.
TikTok is an app that over 1 billion people around the world are using to discover entertaining content, learn new things, and explore new communities. Passkeys make it simpler, faster, and more secure for people to log into TikTok.
Security is one of the main focus at TikTok, and implementing passkey provides a secure way for users to log in.
We make sure that if you've created a passkey, this is going to be the first thing that you see when you want to log in. TikTok users can log in up to 30 times faster with a passkey when compared to other login methods.
Before passkey, we use primarily password and SMS login.
Logging in isn't something that a user does very often, so this can be somewhat difficult if you have forgotten what method you used to sign up for your account with. We wanted to provide users with the safest and fastest login experience possible. Where Passkeys simplifies this is we choose to show it to you first and automatically when you've created a passkey for your account. This means you don't have to remember how you signed up. You don't have to remember a password. They're more secure, as we already know. Just good results.
As a result of implementing Credential Manager, we found that the login success rate for signing with Google has increased. And as a side benefit, we found that we have to text users less frequently. That helps reduce the associated cost by 1.6% annually.
There are many ways that we can use passkeys at TikTok. Not only can they provide an easy way to log back into your account, but they can also be used to verify your identity at any point in the user journey.
As a software engineer, I enjoy building on the Android platform because it provides me with the opportunity to work with different technologies, like different frameworks, different APIs, and different customized systems. I would recommend following the official integration guide as well as doing the code labs that Google provides, which has a step-by-step instruction as well as a working sample app that can help you better understand how Credential Manager API works.
That was amazing. Hearing about how much faster it is building with both Compose and Passkeys.
It absolutely is. And look, we've got Jetpack Compose, Gemini Nano and AI Core, and building excellent apps with passkeys all stamped off on our passports. And it also marks the part on our show when we've moved from developer productivity to excellent apps across devices.
We still have so much more to go and so little time.
Don't worry, I've got you. One thing that's been cool here is seeing all of the Android robots across Mobile World Congress.
Super cool. If you weren't able to join us here in Barcelona, you can take part in this Android robot fun at home.
That's right, through an interactive experience on Android.com that lets you customize your own Android bot with many different options of colors and materials, clothing, props, and accessories.
But Rebecca, we've got to focus. I need to get all of my passport stamps.
Well, you're in luck. I think these next segments will do the trick.
Oh, that's right. Coming up next, the reason we're here in Barcelona, I got to go behind the scenes with a few Android device makers to give you a sneak peek at some of the newest and coolest wearables and foldables.
And then, right after that, we'll be taking your questions across the world of Android development, live with the team who builds it. You can ask us anything about building excellent apps across devices, Android 15, Jetpack Compose, and much more. There's still time to ask your question. Just add #AskAndroid on X or in the comments on YouTube.
Come on, Rebecca, we really have to hurry.
Okay.
As an Android engineer, I have seen firsthand how the ecosystem is growing, from tablets to foldables to wearables. With the latest tools, APIs, and guidance, it is getting easier to develop for all the screens users interact with, beyond just mobile. We wanted to catch up with some of our partners to hear about their latest innovations in hardware. First up at MWC, I visited Android Avenue, where the OnePlus team was waiting to show me their new watch, the OnePlus Watch 2.
We're super excited that we're launching the OnePlus Watch 2 here at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona. And one of the things that OnePlus really had to work closely with Google on is the notifications and making sure that it is working with that efficiency chipset that we have in the device to make sure that the battery doesn't drain. And the OnePlus Watch 2 specifically has up to 100 hours of battery life. It's going to have a super durable premium build to it as well that we know our users are going to love. We are using stainless steel and we're also using a sapphire crystal as well to really make it a premium durable experience. We're also bringing dual frequency GPS for those runners or hikers who are looking for accuracy in GPS tracking. For developers, it's easy. The developer just has to develop an app for the OnePlus Watch 2, like they're developing an app for just Wear OS.
Next up, I headed to Xiaomi to hear about the Xiaomi Watch 2, another exciting addition to the Wear OS ecosystem.
I am so excited to introduce our latest smartwatch device. It's called Xiaomi Watch 2. For the first time, we realized a camera remote for the photo and the video at the very same time, so you can just capture the moment directly on your wrist. This is the first time for global markets we launched professional skiing sports modes, so we hope in the wintertime every winter sports lover could enjoy their time more. We know a lot of smartwatch users care about their health, so this time we improve our algorithm for sleep monitoring and race monitoring, which means it could collect the data more accurately. We hope this product could help more people to enjoy their healthier life. Our Xiaomi Watch 2 also equipped with 5 system, L1 plus L5 GNSS. So combined with the Google Maps on your watch, it can make your traveling and business trip way much easier. We're so excited to co-work with Google for this amazing products powered by Wear OS. So let's keep exploring more interesting features in the coming future together.
At my last stop, we switched it up, looking at the latest in foldables from Honor, the Honor Magic V2.
We're super excited to have launched on February 25th at our Day Zero launch event, the Porsche-designed Magic V2 RSR. The Magic V2 is the world's thinnest and lightest foldable on the market today. We've really done an incredible job bringing state-of-the-art battery technology, screen display technology, and packed it into a foldable form factor that the world has never seen before. So for any foldable, it's really having the multifaceted capability of being used as a standard phone, but also in its open form. With the larger screen real estate, we're really hoping that users can take advantage of greater productivity as well as improved gaming experiences. One example of this is our collaboration with Gameloft's Asphalt 9 title. We've brought 120 FPS gameplay, which is an immersive gaming experience for our customers, exclusive on the Magic V2. We welcome the developer community to join us in building next-gen features for foldables to bring to users around the world.
With all these cool new wearable and foldable devices coming out soon for users, I wanted to understand a bit more about what we as developers can do to build on top of them. So I spoke with Alex Vanyo, a developer relations engineer on the Android team. I started by asking him about the new Wear OS devices we saw from OnePlus and Xiaomi and what that means for developers.
The latest updates in Wear OS hardware come from close collaboration with our partners, with brand new features and enhanced battery life for users. Even with these new devices and updated experiences though, devs can still use existing Wear OS APIs to get the necessary optimizations. No code changes needed.
Next, I asked Alex about the new foldable from Honor and what developers should know about building for this unique, innovative device type.
The Android large screen ecosystem has continued to grow, and foldables have been an especially important part of the innovation we have seen from our hardware partners like Honor. Foldables and other large screen devices make it far more common for your app to change size. Users give your app a window and want to see the best experience that adapts to that space. Designing and building adaptive layouts enable an app to look and work great on a variety of window sizes.
Finally, as an engineer myself, I wanted to hear from the team at Google what resources are available to me as I start building for the latest Android devices.
There are many resources devs can tap into to be sure their app looks great across devices. Compose is an amazing way to build apps on different form factors. Compose for Wear OS and the upcoming adaptive layouts for large screens help devs bring their apps to life with less code, powerful tools, and intuitive APIs. If you're looking for a great way to get started, check out the Wear OS and large screen galleries at developer.android.com, where you can find UX inspiration and design guidance tailored to your type of app.
Find those 2 galleries Alex mentioned by clicking on the links below.
And we're rolling and action shot. Just check his mic.
First time I've done this, so. You ready? Infinite Painter is a feature-rich application designed for artists of all levels. We try to maximize both form and function by offering a clean user interface as well as powerful tools. And one thing that really makes our app special is our natural, realistic brushes. A lot of entry-level tablets were experiencing around 60 to 90 milliseconds of latency when drawing with the stylus. We were able to decrease that latency by about 3 times to about 15 milliseconds to 30 milliseconds, which is just phenomenal. It feels like you're drawing on paper. It's insane. At Infinite Painter, our goal is to create a uniform experience between smaller formats such as phones, but also larger formats as tablets, foldables, and also Chromebooks. A friend of mine encouraged me to try out programming, and when I did, I just fell in love with it. Being able to apply what I was learning in school to what I love is just awesome. We worked closely with the Android and Chromebook team, so we used the libraries that they were supporting, which is the Jetpack's graphics core library, as well as the input motion prediction library to help anticipate where you are drawing. Android is vast. It supports around 20,000 devices. It's offered this ability to reach a global audience. For us as a really small team to be able to reach such an international user base, that's what makes Android extremely special for us at least. Android Studio is amazing. I don't know what else to say about it. We wanted the interface to just totally dissolve. It was about embracing minimal design where you can really just focus on creating. Our app is designed for artists of all levels. We get a lot of users who are just approaching drawing on tablets with entry-level hardware. We still want to support that and really bring out that creative spirit in those users. 60% of our user base is large format users, and that's pretty significant. If you're trying to consider whether there's a market for it, there's definitely a market for it. If I were to give some advice around the way you would approach user interface for larger formats, tablets, Chromebooks, it's really easy to add more because you have a bigger format. I would lean against that. I would try to keep it clean. When you reduce the visual information, it's just a better experience.
That sounds like something you guys are really proud of.
We're so proud of it.
Awesome. All right, let's cut Cam.
Welcome to episode 100 of Now in Android, your ongoing guide to what's new and notable in the world of Android development. And speaking of notable, not only is our 100th episode a milestone, but we've got a new style, new music, and the new bot. We'll cover the first developer preview of Android 15, the stable release of Android Studio Iguana, MLKit document scanning, the Wear OS hybrid interface, nested scrolling, strong skipping and shape morphing in Compose, and more. We released the first developer preview of Android 15, which focuses on providing access to superior media capabilities, minimizing battery impact, maintaining buttery smooth app performance, and protecting user privacy and security, all while enabling a diverse ecosystem of devices. Android 15 includes updates to Privacy Sandbox and Health Connect, and introduces new file integrity protection APIs. It provides enhanced camera controls and virtual MIDI 2.0 devices to help power creative applications. It expands the Android Dynamic Performance Framework to support a power efficiency mode, report GPU work durations, and return thermal headroom thresholds. And it adds quality-of-life-focused OpenJDK APIs that will be updated on over 1 billion devices through Google Play System updates. Get started today testing your app with the Android 15 developer preview in the emulator, or by flashing a system image onto a Pixel 6 Plus, Pixel Fold, or Pixel tablet device. We launched Android Studio Iguana in the stable release channel to make it easier for you to create high-quality apps. Enhancements include Jetpack Compose UI Check, which automatically audits Compose UI for accessibility and adaptive issues across different screen sizes. Progressive rendering in Compose Preview, which speeds up iteration on complex layouts by lowering the detail of out-of-view previews. Version control, system support, and app quality insights. Built-in support to create baseline profiles for Jetpack Compose apps, enhanced support for Gradle version catalogs, the Espresso device API, and updates from IntelliJ 2023.2. The blog gives information on all these changes and more. The Android Photo Picker now integrates cloud photos, giving apps a unified way to let users browse and grant access to selected local and cloud photos and videos. It's currently available with Google Photos, is open to other cloud media apps that meet the eligibility criteria, and it's rolling out with the February Google Play System update to devices running Android 12 and above. We launched the MLKit Document Scanner API, enabling you to easily integrate advanced document scanning capabilities into your apps. The API offers a standardized and user-friendly interface for document scanning, includes precise corner and edge detection for accurate document capture, and allows users to further crop scan documents, apply filters, and remove fingers or blemishes. It processes documents on device, eliminates the need for camera permissions, and is supported on devices with Android API level 21 or above. The Wear OS-powered OnePlus Watch 2 launched with a dual chipset architecture that works with our hybrid interface to dramatically extend battery life up to 100 hours of smart mode regular use. You can leverage existing Wear OS APIs to get the advantage of these optimizations, such as notification compat and health services on Wear OS. With Wear OS 4, we launched the watch face format, and the new format helps future-proof watch faces to take advantage of emerging optimizations in future devices. There are a bunch of articles worth checking out. Levi covered nested scrolling in Jetpack Compose, giving a deep dive into how you can implement custom nested behaviors, such as what the Material 3's top app bar scroll behavior parameter does. Ben explained Jetpack Compose's strong skipping mode, an experimental feature in the Jetpack Compose Compiler 1.5.4 Plus that changes the rules for what composables can skip recomposition, which should greatly reduce recomposition, improving performance. Rebecca showed how you can use shapes in Compose to create a cool progress bar that morphs between two shapes using the Graphics Shapes library, which has new documentation to help you add these effects into your apps. Over in videos, #WeArePlay highlighted the developers behind We Spot Turtles, whose app helps crowdsource pictures that a machine learning model uses to help collect extensive data on sea turtles in the wild. There was a bunch of activity over in Android Jetpack, including the first alphas of Annotation 1.8, Benchmark 1.3, Core Remote Views 1.1, Glance 1.1, Profile Installer 1.4, Lint 1.0, Wear Watchface 1.3, WebKit 1.11, and Compose Material 3 1.3. We also released Hilt version 1.2, with assisted injection support for Hilt View Model and Hilt NavGraph View models, as well as Test UI Automator 2.3, which adds support for multiple displays and custom weight conditions. In episode 204 of Android Developers Backstage, Fan Notations, Tor, Romain, and Chet talk about one of Tor's favorite topics, lint. Specifically, they talk about lint checks and the annotations that use them to enable better, more robust, and more self-documenting APIs. As Chet would say, lint is not just for pockets anymore. That's it for this week with Android 15 Developer Preview 1, the stable release of Android Studio Iguana, cloud photos now available in Photo Picker, MLKit document scanning, the Wear OS hybrid interface, nested scrolling, strong skipping and shape morphing in Compose, annotations with lint, and more. Check back soon for your next update from the Android developer universe.
Hello. Now, some of you who might have noticed that, hey guys, some of you might have noticed that I'm no longer in Barcelona, and I'm actually here with my wonderful colleagues on the Android team here to take your questions. So as we've said a few times, and we'll say it again, please use the hashtag #AskAndroid to ask us any questions in the comments, wherever they are, and also on X. So we've already got some questions, and thank you for a bunch of you who've already asked them. So before I do that, I want to introduce you to the wonderful team. You already know who I am. So I'm going to pass it over to John. You can kick us off.
Thanks, Bex. Hi, everyone. I'm John Zoller. I work on Wear OS. How about you, Alice?
Hi, everyone. I'm Alice, and I am representing Android Platform, and my area of specialty is in background work and battery. I'll pass it over to Nick.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nick Butcher. I'm a product manager on Jetpack Compose.
Let's go to Fahad.
Hi everyone, I'm Fahad Imtiaz. I'm a product manager on the Android large screen team. Please start.
Finally,
I guess I'm last. Hi, everyone. I'm Terrence Zhang, working on Gen AI on Android.
nice. Alrighty, guys. Okay, we're going to get started into the questions. And as I said, please do continue asking them. So first up, we have a question that says, I get that my app needs to look great on large screens. However, beyond layouts, what are the top 3 considerations for large screen optimizations? I think, Fahad, this might be a good one for you.
All right, I'll take that. Thanks so much for the question. That's a great question. I completely agree. Yes, creating optimized layouts, which are adaptive, that's critical in ensuring that your app looks great on large screens and it offers a great experience for users across devices. But if you're asking beyond layouts, what do I need to think about? The first thing I would say would be think about configuration and continuity. So essentially, on large screens, your app may be resized much more often as compared to phones, or even foldables for that matter. For example, when you unfold a foldable device, your app may be resized to the inner bounds of the foldable display, or even when users are using your app in split screen view on tablets, they may end up resizing your app. So being able to handle those resizing events and essentially preserving state is critical in ensuring a great experience for your users. Beyond that, I would say handling input methods beyond touch is an important consideration. On tablets, users are using more and more keyboards, mice, and styli. So supporting these input methods would ensure that users are able to use your application regardless of whichever input method they are considering. And then lastly,
You go, sorry.
yeah. And then lastly, I would say maybe consider investing in some differentiated experiences like tabletop mode on foldable devices that allows your app to stand out. So tabletop mode on foldable devices, it's great for hands-free media viewing. And yeah.
No, thanks. I mean, also in the segment just before as well around, like, I thought it was really nice seeing how beautiful the stylus was looking for their app. Alrighty. Okay, next up, we're seeing a lot of love of Compose. So, Nick, hopefully that's your area of speciality. So we have one question which is nice and open. What's next for Compose?
What is next for Compose? So much. We have big plans for Compose. I'd say broadly speaking, there's like 3 main areas we're working on right now. Firstly, performance. Like, we know that performance is a key part of the quality of your application, and so we're working extremely hard to make sure the performance is what you need. So the team is doing a number of projects right now across the board. We've been working for a long time on a rewrite of the modifier system, which is bearing fruit. So you're going to see the last parts of that rewrite coming through with a lot of the internals of like the clickable modifier, for example, getting rewritten, and hopefully you'll see a speed up in your applications through this work. We've also been working on a new mode called strong skipping, which is an experimental at the moment right now. If you check out our blog, you can see a deep dive on the system, on what it's for and how you can test it out yourself. As well as just generally throughout the system, we've been looking for opportunities to increase the performance. We've been like right in the guts of the slot table and, right down there in the depths. So we're basically working to make sure that the code that you naturally write works as performantly as possible. So that's the first main area. Second area, I'd say, is in features. So we know there's a ton of features that you want that we've been adding over time to Compose. Some ones that we're working on right now that I'm excited about seeing is we're working hard on things like shared elements is coming. A rewrite of the text field system, which has been ongoing for a little while, and you've been able to opt into some of the experimental APIs so far. It's coming to fruition as well, so that's going to give you much more robust handling, especially over like asynchronous holding of your state and events. One feature I'm really excited about is a new modifier around rich content, which is going to make it much easier to deal with things like receiving rich content, like if you want to drag images into a text field or drop a sticker or a GIF. We're making a combined system which will work, which would be really, really cool. I'm excited to get that into your hands very, very soon.
I guess you will want lots of feedback from the community on what they think of it, right?
Always. Like a lot of these features are landing right now, so they're in the 1.7 alphas. So do check them out and file issues now, or feedback now, or feature requests now when we have a chance to. You have a chance to influence the API. That's why we work in the open. Yeah, those are the first two, so performance and features. And the third area which we're working on, as always, is to try and expand Compose across the different surfaces to bring the Compose model where you are. So we're working very hard on, Fahad just talked a little bit about making your application responsive. And so we've been working hard on some changes in the material adaptive library as well, which help you to bring your application to life across, the variety of screen sizes that are out there. So that's out in the alphas right now as well. Check out the docs on material-free adaptive layouts. As well as, we're working hard with bringing Compose to all form factors as well. So, John, I don't know if there's anything in Wear coming up that you'd be excited about talking about, as well as things like on your home screen through Jetpack Glance, and bringing Compose goodness to everywhere that you write Android UI, really.
Yeah, thanks for tossing it over to me, Nick. Well, coming up, there's not a whole lot I can share immediately, but our new features do include the swipe to reveal component and the changes to our expandables library, which I'm still really excited about. I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning Glance. Glance is definitely, Jetpack Glance is our new way of building widgets on the home screen. It's a Jetpack Compose-like experience. We had 1.0 went stable last year, and 1.1 now is now in alpha. And there'll be a bunch of stuff coming out in the next few months, so please do share any feedback. There's a bunch of new updates in there about error handling and UI state. So yeah, please do give us your feedback on Glance.
And I'll just wrap up by saying that it's a great question, what's new in Compose, but we do publish a public roadmap. So if you just Google Jetpack Compose roadmap, we like to publish what's in focus, what the team is actually working on right now. And of course, it's all open source. So if you really want to get into it, you can go and watch all the commits as they land. So we're trying to be very open and honest with you and tell you what we're working on. Because we love the feedback. We do want you to try these things out and give us the feedback on what you want, what's missing, help us to make the product that's going to work for you.
That's lovely. Thank you, Nick. Alrighty. There have been some good questions about AI. And so there's quite a specific question here. Terrence, I think this one will be for you. What are some advantages of AI core over cloud inference? Maybe you should give some context about what those are as well.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for the question. So first of all, for those that may not know, AI Core is Android's premier on-device Gen AI solution. So AI Core is the API surface for Gemini Nano today. Nano is a much smaller model than our other cloud models. And so it's constrained by the computing power of the device. So it's not going to be as powerful as some of the other models like Gemini Pro, Gemini Ultra that you may see in the cloud. However, Nano and AI Core does have a few key advantages. For example, offline availability. So unlike cloud inference, no internet connection is needed at all for on-device inference. Next is privacy. All of the inference is done locally on your device, so you can ensure your users that their data won't leave the device. Lower latency is another one. For many use cases, we've actually found that saving the round trip to the server actually does reduce latency, so you can display the results to your users faster. And lastly, and very importantly, it's free. So every additional inference that you run will not cost you any additional costs. With Gen AI today, it's not really too widely discussed maybe, but it's actually very expensive to run it in the cloud. They charge per token. Each token is like 0.7 of a word. It's not even one word. So as you can imagine, like if you run your workloads and inferences in the cloud, these costs may add up very quickly. So one of the biggest advantages, I should say, of AI Core is the free aspect.
That's so cool. I didn't actually know that, so thank you, Terrence. All righty. Okay, we have another question. Alice, I think this one might be one for you. There's been a lot of changes to foreground services in the past few Android releases. Why is that?
Thanks, Bex. That is a great question. And there's some context to this. So Work Manager, which is the general library for doing work in the background, that is a Jetpack library, and foreground services are the two possible APIs to consider when you want to do work that is no longer, when your app is no longer visible. And since both of this work can be battery intensive and it's not as high importance as ensuring that the visible app that is running in a performant manner, we're making improvements to both the platform API foreground service and job scheduler, which is a system API that powers Work Manager, to ensure that developers are doing the right thing. So they are doing work that is battery optimal and running in the right scenarios. So you might have seen in Android 14 that foreground services is adding additional constraints with regards to enforcing a type. And so if you are targeting Android 14, you will now need to declare a type to explain to us why you are using this foreground service. I also want to call out that we made a large revamp to our background work DAC. So this is developerandroid.com/guide/background, which may help you better understand what API to use. There is some nuance to exactly understanding which API to use, so I would highly recommend reading that page. Back to you.
No, thank you. All righty. Okay, we've got some other questions coming in. So this one is around Compose. So when will Compose support HTML tags in multilingual app, i.e. list items, bullets, etc.? Nick, I don't know whether you want to give that one a go.
Yeah, I can't give you an exact date. It's in our backlog. We're working on it. Right now, we're currently in the 1.7 timeframe working on some of the underpinnings of this. So there's a lot of things involved with this, like we're doing some work on clickable spans and annotations, which are the machinery by which you will build this. So it's in the backlog. We're getting to it. I know people want this. So go and star the bug if you can find it on the issue tracker and to let us know that this is important to you. But we're getting to it. I promise. There's a lot of stuff we're building.
Okay. You've got a later shot. Give a day on that. Okay, the next question is around Gemini Nano. So Terrence, this will be for you. Will Gemini Nano be available on Pixel 8? When will the Gemini application be coming to France? And maybe you could also just speak maybe about the availability of the Gemini world more broadly.
Yeah, thanks, Bex, and thanks for the question. So Nano will not be coming to Pixel 8 because of some hardware limitations. We're working to bring Nano to more devices. It's currently on the Pixel 8 Pro and very recently available on the Samsung S24 family. Yeah, it'll be coming to more like top high-end devices in the near future. But yeah, unfortunately not the Pixel 8. And then on the Gemini app, I know we're working hard on rolling it out to other regions. Unfortunately, not sure when the Gemini app on Android, which I assume that's what you may be referring to when you say Gemini app, not sure when that's coming to France specifically. However, we can share that the Gemini models are available in France. So yeah, just please stay tuned for the Gemini app itself.
Okay, thank you, Terrence. Okay, next up. Is there any plan to make it easier to use motion layout from within Compose?
I guess I can take this one as well.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. More Compose questions, the better. Are there any plans? Not right now, is what I'm going to say. As I said before, there's a lot of stuff we're trying to build, and the response to constraint layout and motion layout has been mixed. We found a lot of developers have really found the row and columns model to be all they need. So that's what we've been focused on. You can see we've been continuing to invest in those core layouts. We've been adding to the flow row and flow column layouts in recent releases as well. But we haven't found as much appetite from developers for constraint layout and motion layout in Jetpack Compose. If there are things that you want to see in it, I'd love to hear the use cases. Maybe you could get in touch and tell us what you'd like to see, because we're seeing more developers reaching for the basic layouts and leveraging the great animation system and transition system built into Compose. So that's where we've been investing. We've been investing on those systems, trying to make those as good as possible for you. But if there are things that you're finding you're reaching for constraint layout and motion layout, then please send us your use cases and we can reevaluate. But right now, not high on our list right now.
Okay, appreciate the honesty. I'm sure everyone else does. Okay, next up, I think Nick, we might be staying with you, unless someone else wants to give their opinion too. Will Kotlin and Compose totally replace Java and XML views?
Let me take those separately. Like for the Compose part, technically views aren't going anywhere. That's our technical integration point. That that's how you plug a Compose hierarchy into an activity via the view system. So at a technical level, probably views won't go anywhere. But Compose is the future. Like we want Compose to be, our primary UI toolkit that you build all applications with. That is where we are investing. That's what we're heads down working on. Views we're obviously maintaining, and we're adding critical features to it. But because we know that views are going to be part of your apps. You have these existing apps which are using views or hybrid in views and Compose right now. We're not going to leave you high and dry. But the future is Compose. As for Kotlin, Android has been Kotlin first for a long time, but I don't actually know what that means with it to be replace Java. I mean, they can compile down, and we run ARC code on the device as it is. So I don't know if we need to replace it anytime, but we we do recommend being Kotlin first, because the many benefits of the concise, powerful language and incredible libraries like coroutines and possibilities like KMP and so on. So we do absolutely love Kotlin and encourage you to check it out. I don't know if we would say it would ever replace it, but we encourage you to go Kotlin first.
Definitely agree. I don't know whether Fad or John, from your perspective, from building on large screens or wearables, there's anything that you guys would want to add there?
Nothing too significant. I think Nick both covered most of it. The idea is for the interoperability to remain and for us to go forth with Compose as much as possible.
Yeah, I would say the same as well, Bex. For the most part, some of the layout libraries in views, they are fairly stable, allows developers to build optimized layouts for large screens, but Compose is where we are investing in the future as well. So we recently introduced this material adaptive layout library in alpha.
Yeah.
We are very excited about that and how that's going to enable developers using Compose to build adaptive layout.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you mentioned that. So people definitely should check that out, because I know there's going to be a lot of work on that in the coming months as well. Okay, I want to get through as much of these questions as we can. So how can ML-Kit Doc Scanner be leveraged for functionalities beyond basic scanning? Aaron, I'm throwing that to you.
Sounds good, Bex, and thanks for the question again. So yeah, we still see a lot of paper documents present in our everyday life. So digitizing them and having an easy way to do that will always be important. The document scanner has ways to basically allow users to crop scan documents, apply filters, remove stains and fingers, all things like that beyond basic scanning. To find out more, I encourage you to read our latest blog post. It just launched, I believe, last week on the Android Developers blog. And there's more APIs and how you can do that in your app available on developers.google.com/MLKit. So please find out more there. There's a lot of exciting scanning capabilities available for you.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I know I definitely have a lot of paper documents still, so we need this. Okay, a question about Material 3 for Wear OS. Is there a Material 3 implementation for the latest Wear OS to adopt? John?
Yes, Wear OS question. It is currently in alpha. We are working on the new Material 3 library, which provides a rich set of UI components that are available for app builders. So we have a lot of new features we're working on. It's in active development, and we're hoping to get past alpha sometime soon here so that you can start using a stable version.
Nice. Okay, there's another common question coming in about Android 14, which we definitely can speak about. Okay, Alice, I think this one's for you. I'm starting to target Android 14. What are the main things that I should be considering?
Yeah, thanks, Bex. First of all, that's awesome that you're targeting Android 14. And when you do this, please make sure to check the developer documentation to get your latest understanding of all the behavior changes that are happening in Android 14. When you do this, make sure that you're not only looking at the documentation around things that are changing when targeting Android 14, but also the things that are changing when on Android 14 OS. So there is a difference and there's the nuance. There can be changes that happen as soon as a user upgrades their device to Android 14, and those are under the Android 14 changes / all changes rather than targeting Android 14 changes. And you can look at all the changes that are happening there. And then when you start targeting Android 14, where you change your target SDK to be Android 14, then you can look at all the various changes that are happening. So in terms of what is happening, here's a quick list of main highlights. So Android 14 introduces selected photos. So if you're not using Photo Picker yet, we recommend implementing this in order to give your app a consistent experience. As I mentioned before, foreground service types are required. So if you are declaring foreground services, you have to declare a type and the associated permission, and there will be play policy enforced as part of this as well. There's also restrictions to implicit and pending intents. So when you're targeting Android 14, Android restricts apps from sending certain implicit intents to internal app components. And finally, we have that the schedule exact alarms are denied by default. Again, this is just a quick list of highlights, so make sure you read the full list of changes in developer.android.com.
Nice. Okay, we have a few more minutes, so I'm gonna, these are the last few questions, guys. We have a question about Wear OS. So my Wear OS app has been rejected for failing to meet quality guidelines. Is there somewhere I can go to make sure that my app is compliant?
Absolutely. Yeah, great question here. So there are a couple different components for you to look at. One is that we do publish changes on our Android developers blog as they're released to the quality guidelines. So it would be a really good idea to bookmark that, as well as just generally the quality guidelines page. There's also a version history on the quality guidelines page so that it's a little bit easier to track what you're changing. You can also use your Google Play Console. This is going to tell you about the new violations if you have any. And if things keep coming up, we are constantly in the process of revising our guidance based on your feedback.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Last couple of questions. Alice, this one I think might be for you. When Work Manager is running as a foreground service, is there a chance that in standby mode, the service will get killed after a while?
Yeah, great question. So there is some aspects that I would need clarification around. So when you're saying Work Manager running as a foreground service, you might be referring to the fact that Work Manager can also start a foreground service using the set foreground method, in which case this would be exactly the same as starting a foreground service without using Work Manager. And you should refer to the foreground service documentation if you have any questions. With respect to whether or not it will be killed after a while, it is possible, but again, we highly recommend that you stop the foreground service yourself. This will be the most battery optimal way of doing it, and you should do it as soon as the user action completes. So please do not rely on the system to kill your foreground service on your behalf, and this also applies to jobs as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alice. Okay, I think we have time for 2 more questions. And so the first one is, any plans to offer more love to TVs in Compose? I know we've been talking about this one a bit over the last few months.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what more of you'd like to see us show. I mean, we have a composed TV library, a TV material, I think it's called, library. So if you checked that out, like that brings like, an idiomatic compose experience, which is completely customized for the TV. So just special things like, D-pad handling or different focus modes that TVs expect, and offers layouts to help you build a layout appropriate for a TV. So if you haven't checked it out, do. If there are things missing that you'd like to see us add to this library, then please do send us your feature requests on the issue tracker, because we're actively working on it right now.
Nice. Okay. And then one last question. Nick, this might want to be sticking with you as well. Will there be a system to take screenshots of scrollable composables in the future? And this is probably our last question.
Okay, I'll make it short and sweet. Yes, we're working.
Nice. That was easy. All righty, guys. Well, thank you so much for having my wonderful Android colleagues here, and thank you for the wonderful questions. As you said, please do provide our feedback, whether that's on GitHub or through comments on this video. We'd love to get your feedback on what more things you'd like to see on the show. And with that, bye, everyone.
Okay, wait. Now you show me the McLaren car at the end of the show?
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I could have used it to race through the convention and get all of my stamps.
But I think we did collect them all. After those last segments, we got wearables, foldables, Android 15.
Oh, you're right, we did.
So now that we're at the end of the show, what was your favorite part here?
Personally, it was cool hearing about Gemini Nano, and I can't wait to play around with it. What about you?
Yeah, I loved hearing that the TikTok team have adopted passkeys as their default login.
All of you at home, tell us your favorite part and what you'd like us to dive into next time on our quarterly episode of The Android Show.
Yeah, that's right. We'd love to continue the conversation with you on social. Let us know. And before we sign off, there's a full playlist in the latest in Android developer news and more.
Cut!
Do you want to go get some tapas?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think we've earned it.